Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp return to the multiverse as Hal Jordan heads home to see Carol, only to find a multiversal version of himself and Carol there, trying to save him and all of existence from the coming Golden Destroyer Zundernell. Grant Morrison continues his weird multiversal stories, but this time throws quite a bit of humour and social commentary by way of Mark Russell into the mix, introducing us to a Green Lantern who is an incel and toxic masculinity personified. Once I realised what was actually happening with that character, there was no way that I couldn't help but laugh, since it's just so ridiculous, and a total Morrison concept. So of course there is a universe out there that has been overrun by incels and whatnot, and it's just so silly and hilarious. On top of that, Zundernell the Golden Destroyer makes a grand return, as does some more classic police procedural stuff that the series was formerly based around. I really enjoy that for one scene we can get Hal being chewed out for attacking a supposedly good hero like Hyperman and dealing with the courts and everything, and the next page he's flying off to Earth 11 and battling his evil counterpart and stopping him from kidnapping Carol. Morrison makes it look too easy when it comes to combining these two genres together, and they really shouldn't be combined together since you don't think that they would fit well together, but they do. Looking comic book artwork that is meant to sort of mimic what they had in the 60s, like he did in his Hyperman storyline earlier. Earth 11 Hal also got a redesign and his costume looks quite fantastic, but it reminds me more of Kyle Rayner than it does for Hal Jordan. The Green Lantern Season 2 Issue 9 was another awesome installment in Morrison and Sharp's run, exploring more of the multiverse while bringing back some old villains from earlier on in the run and putting the pressure back on Hal Jordan. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. The Green Lantern Season 2 Issue 9 heads to the planet Caroltine, where a lawyer says that even Hal Jordan, the arresting Lantern, must concede that Craig Quinton wasn't in control of his actions and was under the influence of a neurotoxic xenomineral which left him powerless to resist its urges. And as Hyperman, the hero's feats have earned him the trust of his homeworld of Trombus and join the United Planets Superwatch. The lawyer says that this is the man that Hal Jordan beat senseless, as Hal says that Hyperman murdered Lantern Vray, and he, his wife, and their dog tried to kill him, so he apprehended him during their attempted homicide on an innocent Earthling. The lawyer says that Hal ignored Craig's medical condition, but Hal knows that the man knew what he was doing, since on various occasions he claimed to be under the influence of UV Oceantine or Zamorium or Earthite. Yet none of those substances actually exist, but he does believe Craig decided to bring out his dark side, and he reveled in it, and he will do it again until someone puts him down for good. The lawyer addresses the jury, saying that Hyperman again was under the influence of morality-reversing substance, and the vile nature of it should speak to his underlying goodness, and they shouldn't forget that Officer Jordan has an inquiry charge against him into the killing of a Dahorian noble. The lawyer rests his case as the judge wants to close out for the day to ruminate on the pleas. The smug Hyperman and his wife are let out of the court, told they shouldn't have to go through this disgraceful trial as the stoic Hal watches on. Hal goes to meet with Trill, who is watching the hologram of Power Lord and his soon-to-be wife, knowing the wedding has to happen, otherwise Cranaltine loses its grip on Trombus and control of a trade corridor it needs. Trill says that Power Lord won't talk until after the arrest on Juno, and they knew what they were doing and all they had to do was prove it. She asks Hal about Hyperwoman, so the hero says that she'll make a big show out of the wedding hand in hand with Hyperman. He asks how the new arm is, and the woman says that it's better than her original, but she misses the ache from when she broke her elbow on her fledgling day. Hal talks about how he died on Sector General, and it allowed him to understand something about his life, asking if she's ever had someone important in it. Trilla says that she did, in her friend Raru T, and they both did everything together, and she never told her how much she meant to her. The Lanterns take off and talk about Hyperman getting off from the crime, and Hal says that it's as they said. They can recruit another Lantern to take his place, but there is only one Hyperman. Talk soon turns to the Young Guardians, and Hal finds they move mysteriously, talking about some Ultra War that will spill out everywhere, and that he was maneuvered into encounters with a group of his exes, and now he's not so sure how it relates, making him think about it more. Triller thinks that maybe they could talk about this over dinner, but while he appreciates the offer, Hal says he's got to go do something. Triller knows he needs to still eat, but Hal says so does she, telling her to go and try out some of the great food available on the planet. Triller tells Hal her friend Raru died and if someone really matters to him, he shouldn't leave it too long to let them know that. Hal finds that good advice, saying goodbye as he hyperspace jumps back to 2814. Hal returns to Coast City, heading up a tall building's elevator to see Carol. Opening her office door, however, he finds Hal Jordan is already there and proposing to Carol. Shocked, Hal is suddenly pulled back into the office atrium by Star Sapphire of Earth 11, who says that he will destroy 2 universes if he goes into that room. She says that she will explain later, quickly opening a boom cube portal and disappearing through it with Hal, leaving Carol and the other Hal to wonder what that loud bang was. As the heroes teleport away, the Golden Destroyer locks onto the portal, trying to lock onto the user but cannot get a hold of them in time. Back in the office, the other Earth's Hal professes his love for Carol, but the woman says the last time they talked love, she didn't see him for 9 months except for the time he tried to arrest everyone on Earth. Hal becomes upset, crying about how he gave it his best, realizing she only likes the bad guys and not decent, sensitive men like him. He slams his fists onto the table, knowing no matter how hard he tries, it's the bad boys she really wants. Carol calls security as Hal says that he'll give her what she deserves. His power ring goads him on, telling him to show Carol who's boss. Hal activates his ring, becoming the Green Lantern. Carol realizes that it's not her Hal Jordan, as the man says that he doesn't take no for an answer, grabbing Carol with his constructs and telling her that he's going to take her home and make her his bride. Carol calls for security, but Hal says that he doesn't care for the workaholic Carol, he cares for the inner Carol, and he's chased her all across dimensions, wanting her to show him this woman or he'll fetch her in the usual way. He forcefully kisses her, realizing she isn't his Carol and she tricked him. Carol knows that he's a dead man now as the history of Universe 11 is revealed, with the Greco-Amazonian culture of the planet Gaia meeting with the people of Oa, which caused Oa to become polarized, with the male Oans rejecting emotion in favor of logic and celibacy, while the women prospered and the Star Sapphire sorority was made to spread the law of love and peace throughout the universe. In response, the old immortals of Oa set themselves up as patrons of the Pan-Cosmos and birthed the Green Lantern Patrolmen, who upheld their outdated ideals and subjugated them on the universe. Carol finishes filling Earth Zero Hal in on her world, saying that Hal of her world is obsessed with marriage and mostly he's harmless. Hal knows that that's not good enough and he came back to his world to make a proposal on his own Carol, but Star Sapphire says that had he kissed this Carol, he would have been tracked down by the Golden Destroyer and killed in an Oregon flash that would have killed him and Carol. She reveals that she couldn't let him go into that room because she was trying to confuse the Golden Destroyer, who continues his search for Hal across the multiverse. Carol apologizes for leaving his Carol alone with the toxic villain but needs Green Lantern's help, welcoming him to Earth 11, which they soon find has had its moon obliterated. Hal asks who could have done this and what is a Golden Destroyer, wanting some explanations for once as the Golden Destroyer finds its target. Hal again accuses Sapphire on putting Carol in danger, but she says that it was the only way to protect her, pointing out that the Justice Guild will take care of the moon, so they don't need to worry about it. Hal plans on heading back home and stopping the psycho version of himself from proposing, but Sapphire says that Carol will turn him down and he needs to be there, telling him of an all-powerful living weapon from the dawn of time that they unlocked on Earth 15, and they need to draw its attention away from his Carol and her Hal. The Golden Destroyer, however, finally locks onto the Hal and Carol it needs as Batwoman contacts the Justice Guild, telling them that they have contained the fighting to Harmonia, but they need some of the heavy hitters. Suddenly, the Hal of Earth 11 smashes into a car nearby, making Batwoman realize that this is probably just some Carol thing. The Star Sapphire of Earth Zero arrives, angered that this world sent this preening peacock to assault her, declaring war on Gaia. Mrs. Terrific's T-spheres read a massive space-time distortion, and whatever destroyed the moon is finally coming for them. The Golden Destroyer appears behind Star Sapphire, saying he finally has her and the world will crumble as he grabs the woman, proclaiming the Nomad Empire has returned, as the Universe 11 Carol says that Hal never mentioned that his Carol had a Star Sapphire power, knowing that she did not plan for this to happen.